all the roles that I do, these are as a supporting artist. So it's just a film. It's a film extra. So this is the scenes are very short, and it just means that you can work on quite a few projects a year. But I've just been very lucky with the kind of things I've been in. Just like, I mean, the Doctor Who studio is based in Cardiff, so that's, it's like a couple of hours from me. So I've just been really fortunate about the kind of project. It's not in an intentional thing to be working on Comic-Con related programs. It just that's where I fit in my casting.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, because it does seem to be that either you gravitated towards or being pushed towards things that fantasy, sci-fi related. Is that something you're interested in, or is that just something that's just...
As a fan, I am totally on board with it. I watched Doctor Who as a kid. I watched Star Wars when it came out. I love James Bond. I love Marvel comics. I used to read those as a kid. So to get to work in all these franchises, as an old guy, is quite, it feels like a very rewarding, and especially when you come to Comic-Con and meet people, lovely people like you who share the passion, and that's really important.
I've done a lot of these interviews over the years, and every single person I've ever spoken to, no matter what they've been in, no matter how big their role or small their role, has always said that getting there is, when they first do that, it is nothing like they'd imagine. It's so much more interesting. There's so much more going on the very first time you step in. I mean, do you find that? Did you find that the very first time you took a role, you got in there, was it more than you expected? Was the whole process overwhelming? How did you settle in the very first time?
I've never felt overwhelmed by anything. I've never felt nervous with a camera or anything like that. No, I just kind of it's cool. Sometimes you have deep moments like Guardians of the Galaxy, when they got on the set of the Kiln Prison set. It was very impressive, and to see characters that you love as a kid be standing right in front of you, that is awesome. But you're there to work. It is just like a job, and you turn up there, and these guys that you might see in tabloids or whatever, they're just human beings, and they're here to work too. And I've never really felt that, and it is really bizarre, because one of the first jobs I did was one of the episodes of Doctor Who. I worked on Angels Take Manhattan, which is kind of like, I mean, Matt Smith as well. I mean, to see such a young Doctor, I was like, this isn't a Doctor. This is not what I'm used to. But but then I started to watch them back, from the new Doctor, the new Who, if you like, the Chris Atkinson onwards after season 9. And I worked on not season 9, sorry, season what? Atkinson.
Season 1, yeah.
Oh, it is season 1. Yeah, my brain's gone. Yeah, because I worked on season 7, 8, 9, and 10. Yeah, they're the seasons I worked on. So I started to watch new just to get a vibe of it, and I've never really been overawed by any of it. It just feels very natural to me.
What's the worst thing that you've had to do?
What's the worst thing I've ever had to do?
Yeah.
Run, probably. I really hate running. No, there was a scene.
No one likes running.
No, honestly, there was a scene on. This is a lesson for you. This is a lesson well learned. I went on Muppets again. Muppets Most Wanted, I think it was. It was like the Gulag scene, and there was like an overhead camera, and one of the ADs, assistant director, said, listen, you can be running that way and back, that way and back. And I thought, okay, that sounds cool. And about 20 takes later, I thought, this is such a mistake. I wish I hadn't been running, because now I've got to run for the whole, God knows how many takes we're doing on this, and I have to do the same thing over and over. So I learned the lesson the hard way, So yeah, some things you think, are simple, but yeah, when you know you've got to repeat it over and over and over, yeah, it can be, they're the worst things. But yeah, no, I can't think of anything really bad that's done.
And what would you say was the most exciting thing that you've done in your career thus far?
Things like I love doing the Doctor Who creatures when I was doing the Space on Me in Oxygen, and also the Clockwork Droid in Deep Breath. Just chasing the cast around, chasing the Doctor around, chasing the assistant around, dressed up really silly. But you have to give that gravitas. You have to make that something real and scary. But they're such good actors. That they act scared. And they're scared of me. That's so cool. The Doctor's running away from me, or Bill, or Clara. That's like really awesome. So things like that, and working on the Star Wars Force Awakens, that was great. There was a lot of the Resistance scenes. Again, you really felt like you were there. It was 90% of it was there, in costumes and props and stuff. You had full-size Millennium Falcons, X-Wings and stuff like that. So that was incredible to work on something like that, where, everything was pretty much hands-on. Even the creature performers, in their costumes and everything. So you really felt like you were there. So things like that were really exciting. I like working, sometimes you get to work with the stunt team. On the peripheral stuff, that's quite good. I've enjoyed working on the Justice League, Zack Snyder cut. That was awesome. No Time to Die, we were Spectre agents in there, that was pretty cool. We got to do a lot of stunt falls and lots of cool stuff. So yeah, that's cool.
And you're saying that as a child, you enjoyed comics and sci-fi and all that sort of stuff. Is there anything that you really, really enjoyed as a child that you'd really love to be involved in, something that hasn't been reimagined, or something that you would love to see be made, that you'd love to be involved in?
I don't know. Let me see. I've done Star Wars. I've done Doctor Who, I've done James Bond, I've done Marvel, I was on Fantasy Beasts, I had a wand, I was a wizard. I'm just thinking of all the ones I've done. Star Trek I haven't done, that's something definitely, I'd love to work with Star Trek. But I was thinking that one of the funniest things was that I loved Thunderbirds as a kid. I'd love to be like a puppet in Thunderbirds.
Well, you could actually be the puppet.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, that would be really funny. No, I don't know. Just, I don't know. It sounds really blasé, but I've pretty much done the things I want to do. Just more of the same, really, I think.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about Thunderbirds, I know you and puppetry in general, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, because I know that you worked with the Muppets, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. What's it like? Did you actually interact with them? What was that like?
They were on set all the time, and the puppet actors they're in character most of the time. They do the voices as well as the puppet movement. And literally is a hand in a sock. It really is. And they hide behind boxes and stuff. And then they're doing, I can't do a Kermit voice, don't expect me to do one. But they do like Kermit voices and stuff and doing that. And then, when they're talking, they're doing the accents and everything, and they're just totally in character. And it's the weirdest thing, that these are like the stars of the film, and, that is awesome. It's the most bizarrest thing, What's the one in the bin? The one that
Oscar the Grouch.
Comes out the bin and stuff, and it's really surreal.
I can imagine. I years ago, I worked on a short, and it was interacting with puppets, and they built a set with 2 levels, and the humans were walked around here, and then puppetry was up here. So when you saw people walking around, they were the same level as the puppets, which I thought was amazing. I absolutely adore puppets, and I I always wondered how they did it with the Muppets. Is it just purely just hiding behind things?
Yeah, literally really old school. They have a mic, literally hand in sock, really, honestly, and then just doing the voices. It's just amazing, and it's so far removed from the kind of like. So I worked on Detective Pikachu, and that was mostly Pikachu was CGI. You had like models and things to reference, but a lot of it was just CGI, and you had to.
You jumped the gun there. I was about to.
Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry.
I was just about to ask you about that. I was leading into it.
Oh, were you? Yeah. That's why I knew.
Yeah, it was that connection, I think. So, moving on to Detective Pikachu, my son was absolutely obsessed with it. He hadn't seen it, and finally, when we saw it, at home. He hadn't ever been to the cinema or anything. He was during lockdown, after lockdown, and all that sort of stuff. But he, watching the interaction between the actors and Pikachu and the other, and like the Sonic film, the interaction was amazing. What was that? Did you have to interact with balls? How does that work? I guess you can use your imagination.
Essentially, yes. With the Pikachus and the Pokemon, and also, I'm probably going to jump ahead again, but in Jurassic World as well, with the dinosaurs.
I was getting there.
I'm going to jump ahead again, and in Guardians of the Galaxy with Groot and Rocket, but actually with Groot and Rocket, they were human beings doing movements. You have to kind of like, he'll have a stick with a long Groot mask on it or something, and then so you kind of get an idea of his height, because he's like, I don't know, 10, 15, very tall. So, when you watch those things back, you watch everybody's reaction. It's so natural. Everybody's like well drilled in the scene, and of course you have to react as if they're really there. In your own mind, whatever it is that you're doing, it has to be as real as possible. And I think it does translate.
Is the actor actually there? The voice actor for those?
No voice actor. Not for Guardians. The voice actor wasn't there. And for Pikachu, Ryan Reynolds wasn't there. They might have somebody reading the lines just for timing and rhythm and pace. But yeah, they're not there.
So I wondered about that. Because I always assumed the voice actors would be there because they, as you say, for the timing. But if you have someone just reading the lines, you don't necessarily get the right timing. But it always seems quite natural. So do they take multiple takes? How do they get that?
Well, on Guardians of the Galaxy, Sean Gunn, who's James Gunn's brother, the James Gunn was director. He was doing a lot of the lines for Rocket, but just on the on-set Rocket. So he would, and he's a bit of an actor. He's a bit of an actor. He does acting, so I guess he just did his version, and then in the studio, the other chap, I forgot his name, that was his voice, would go over that. The most important thing is that you watch film back, you wouldn't think of any of these things, so it's done well.
Is it when you go back and actually watch the film, and if you're used to a voice that you've heard, is it jarring at all hearing someone else's voice doing this?
No. Sometimes you're just really in the moment, you don't even think about things like that. It's like, I think that's kind of a journalist sort of mindset to think of things like that. I think you just...
Maybe I spend too much time thinking about this stuff.
I think so. I think on the day you just really concentrate on whatever your job is, and just making sure that you're part of the team and you're doing whatever you're supposed to be doing. I think that's the most important thing, yeah.
And I understand you just finished a new production with a zombie film, is that correct? Or maybe I'm telling absolute porky pies.
What's it called?
I don't know, I just saw it on IMDb.
Alright.
I did warn you that I'm the most unprofessional person in the place.
Somebody asked me about doing something for a film, and I haven't heard back from them, and they even put it on need it to be. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
so
know
you
what.
haven't-
I haven't even worked on it yet. Whatever it is,
Oh,
I have no idea.
Fair
I've not been contacted. To be fair, we have had a pandemic, so
that is true.
you know this is probably before then. So you know, sometimes you work on films and they don't even come out. It's like you know, or they don't come out for like 5 years, 10 years, or you know, they've got some legal problems or something. So sometimes things don't even come out. I just in a world of filmmaking, a lot of money being thrown around and you know, wasted.
Money that we're never going to see.
Yeah, well, you know, work that I'm never going to see, more like it. Yeah.
The only film I've ever been in, I was in 28 Days Later as a zombie.
Oh, wow, awesome. Can I have your autograph?
You will swap. I was the guy what was killed. Yeah, and I remember turning up one day, I was basically just an extra, turning up in the day and they slapped all the makeup on. And I worked out that I was in makeup longer than I actually was on screen.
Oh, wow.
I was in makeup for like 20 or 30 minutes, something like that. I mean, it wasn't like hours and hours like most people get there. Yeah, and I was on screen for a blink and you miss it, like 3 seconds of me lunging at the main character.
Should we put some questions to the audience?
Yeah, I was just about to say, shall we open it up, questions up to the audience? Anyone have any questions? Anyone? If you'd like to come up to the microphone here. No, we've got a microphone at the
microphone there.
kids come up to the microphone. Yeah, come. Yeah. Yep, the microphone there, yep. That's alright.
Do you find that because, I don't want to say minor character because that sounds really bad, but because you do so many small roles, it gives you more range to do the things you really want to do, and how does it feel like coming from Hollywood to the Isle of Wight?
Mostly the films I work on are based in the UK, some of the big studios like Pinewood, Warner Brothers, Leeson and Longcross. So that's not Hollywood, that's just the UK. And coming to the Isle of Wight is just like going anywhere else, no? Feels like it to me. You might have noticed, you know, in the introduction, I hadn't seen Isle of Wight, but no, you know, the bonus of being in Comic Con world is I've got to go around everywhere in the UK, and I love it. You know, I love meeting people. I love sharing stories with the fans. I love hearing about what your passion is. You know, that's really important to me. You know, so I'm really honoured to be here. It's great. So don't put your own island down. That's what I'd say. You know, you guys are awesome. You know, you're really into stuff I love anyway. You're awesome to me. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Well,
And we have lovely hair.
Thank you for coming.
Julian.
Hi Clem.
Hi.
I saw you last year at Plymouth, literally like actually a year ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get started in doing some film extra work. What sort of advice would you give to people getting into that?
My advice is don't go into it thinking you're going to be on Doctor Who or Star Wars. Do it because you really love being in the film industry, or you want to experience what that's like to work on TV or film, or learn about you know how things work on set. You know, it's really, I find what's really interesting is all the different kind of camera angles and they use to make one scene of just two people talking. And then watching that and how that's edited, what choices they make, the director might make. Those things interest me. As I said before, it's just pure luck that I ended up doing a lot of science fiction fantasy. You know, it's just because of my luck. It's not easy I'm never going to be a doctor or a lawyer in a program because I just don't have that luck. Well, unless it's like a quirky storyline. So, yeah, my advice is just to, you know, have a certain feel for what kind of, you know, sense of what kind of things I might get working. So just think about that maybe, or just get some great photos for yourself. And then it's just luck, honestly. You join an agency, an extra agency, and honestly, it's just luck. You have to be incredibly available on your calendar at that last minute notice. That's one thing I'd say. Car, really important. If you can drive, that's a bonus because, especially these days with COVID, I do believe that studios are still doing COVID tests before you come in. So, so it does affect how how you manage to do things and how you get from A to B. You have to be really on it in terms of wanting to do it. It's not easy to do, but yeah, I mean you've got as much chance as anybody. That's what I'd say. Yeah.
Do you have any other questions? Anyone? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time, Clem. It's been amazing.
Thank you. Thank you to your lovely audience for coming here and listening to me. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any final words?
No, I just said them. That was it. I appreciate you guys being sitting there and listening to me. Thank you very much.
And I'll come and give you my autograph later. Cut your final.
Thank you.